first time, the three refineries in Nigeria are back working together. Even though not at the capacity I love to see them, a lot more work still needs to be done to get into the level of performance that I would want. For the first time, we have pipelines delivering crude oil to the refineries, both from Brass to Port Harcourt and from Warri, Escravos to Warri. This is the first time that's happened in 8 years. So that is ongoing. For the first time in 20 years, we took the bold audacity to go ahead and try and restructure NNPC. Because unless we did that, the issues of transparency, the issues of staff morale, the issues of directional policies were never going to happen. And we've successfully done that, and that took massive amounts of work. But we still have to deal with the behemoth, which is the fuel issue. And the reality is that as long as these refineries don't work in absolutely top capacity, as long as we do not have the foreign exchange to bring in the product, because money basically in the system is dissipated, as long as the price of crude continues to slide, and part of my responsibilities is getting it up, and I did give my colleagues the hope that I was going to get it up to 50, I'm happy today it's 46. As long as those conditions continue, we will have problems with fuel. So you've got to...
Wow. Missed out on that last part, but we've got a man who could shed some light on what has been said. Alex Ogedengbe is a former managing director of Kaduna and Port Harcourt refineries. Thank you for coming on this morning again, sir.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
He did talk about the fact that we need to deal with the main issue, availability of this product. So all of those other matters comes to that key matter. Well, you have been in the thick of things, several areas, several years. Listen to what the minister has said. Recorded many firsts, but how do we get the ultimate challenge solved?
I will give him credit for those two about getting the pipelines back. I have to be fair to that. But you know what happened immediately after that, only a few days ago. The Warri-Kaduna axis was again tampered with and blown up. So it is a continuing problem. And in fact, the credit I give to him is that they have even made a concerted effort to restore those pipelines, because without that, there is no refinery. So that's good credit. However, Nigeria is not the only place where there are pipelines leading to refineries. There are 43 refineries in Africa. You never hear this kind of problems. So it is possible not only to repair them, but to keep them in good condition. Like he said, this problem only started about 8 years ago. The refineries were in very, very poor shape even 8 years ago. So we haven't even touched the real problem. To get the crude oil to the refinery is crucial. But to get the refinery to produce the products, we haven't started there at all.
Well, if we get the crude to the refineries now, doesn't that solve the problem?
Absolutely not. All the refineries are not in a position to run.
This picture.
Let me finish. To run like refineries are supposed to run continuously without emergency shutdown for a minimum of 18 to 24 months.
Wow.
If you don't achieve that first requirement, you don't have a refinery, you have a kettle. You put it on, you shut it off.
What would it take to achieve that?
What it will take is to have, first of all, the right ownership structure and business model. We do not have the ownership structure that will propose that business model. We were fortunate in the first part of the latter part of last century, when the refineries were new and could survive the problems of bureaucratic management. When you have a brand new car, you can manage to run it for 1.5 years, maybe, without much servicing and maintenance and all of that. But try to run it for 5 years at that same rate. You can't do it.
But there's been a series of committees, put in place to look into the state of refineries. and I'm sure maybe you served in one also.
Yes.
Yes, to look into the state of refineries and proper solutions so that we're not in this mess we are in at the moment. What happened then?
Well, good question. The last time I was here, I gave you a glimpse into a report that was presented by that committee. I was a member of that committee for 3 months in 2012, March to June. Up till today, I haven't seen any real attempt to pick out the reasons for the poor state of the refineries, which were completely addressed in a very detailed case study. The results are there, were published, and I'm still hoping that somebody will get it to the position where it will be acted upon. I have made efforts on my own. Since the last time I was here, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I have sent I forwarded at least to 20 different people copies of that report, hoping that somehow it will get to senior members of this government. I am sitting down here waiting and ready to be called to participate further in discussing that report. Why? That report is the best that I've seen in the last 20 years to address the problems and propose solutions for them. That report said the self-sufficiency of petroleum products can be attained in this country because we have all the elements of it within 4 years. It was not just saying I will do it in 6 months or 3 years or this. It gave you all the issues that were caused the problem where we are and gave you a path to solving them. This report was generated by a committee assembled by the government, and I can tell you again, I guess we spent at least $1 million to prepare that report, and up till now I haven't seen it addressed. I will tell you, on the 19th of April, after I was here, there is a publication requesting that, expression of interest or whatever, asking for companies to form joint venture partnership with the federal government to repair, rehabilitate, and run the refineries. When I read through that publication, I have a copy, I'll leave it with you. When I read through it, I tried to find out whether it was addressing the issues in
raised
the report.
in that report.
Exactly. It did not appear to me as it was addressing it at all. First of all, there was a lack of clarity in the objectives in that report. When it's not clear and you're inviting
in the report or in the advertorial?
Advertisement.
Okay.
Advertised on the 19th of April in the newspapers. Bidders have been asked to come forward to have a joint venture partnership with government. So the question is, what is the objective? When you read the objective, it's not clear. What kind of joint venture is it? Before companies come forward, they must have an idea what it's going to be. Although it says pre-qualification, and it lists about 20, 30 items of what it takes to pre-qualify. But the important thing is this: when you read that report, it says whoever is selected should be ready to rehabilitate all the refineries within 6 months. It will close at the end of this month, 31st of May. And by the end of December of this year, they expect the refineries to be rehabilitated or as close to date as possible.
Is 6 months good enough time for us to fix it?
It is unrealistic. It is impossible. It will take at least 3 months. At least 3 months just to sit down and find out what is wrong with each refinery.
But I thought that what's wrong with the refinery has been sorted, as in over time we've heard about turnaround maintenance, all sorts of maintenance processes going on at the different refineries at different times. Those reports culminating, I'm assuming that culminated to that committee that you were a part of. What happened to all those reports?
Look, the last time a turnaround maintenance was properly done in any of the refineries is at least 10-15 years ago. I repeat, Port Harcourt Refinery. Now, when we are told that we are doing something internally, or we are trying to do, which is what I've heard in the last 3 or 4 months, 6 months, let me say 6 months, since the present regime came in December, They gave the management their 3 months to fix the refinery. The management said, we will try to do it internally. It is not possible. Yes, I repeat, turnaround maintenance cannot be done alone by the refinery, because it takes the kind of equipment and staffing and logistics to do it in such a short time. Whereas the refinery management teams are trained to work continuously on small items, relatively small items, over the period of the lifetime.
I was going to ask you, are the equipment at the refinery obsolete? But then I remember you said something about we don't have the structure.
Look, good question. Are they obsolete? I even hear the refineries that are so old you should give them away. Port Harcourt Refinery is the newest in Africa. Did you hear what I said? There is no refinery newer than Port Harcourt Refinery, which was built and completed in 1989. So refineries can be maintained like any other facility, and you build on this from year to year. There is a refinery in Los Angeles that's over 100 years old, and many refineries are left. The one in Abadan, 600,000 barrels per day, with the war ravages and everything, has been refixed.